Nina G, and that's my neighbor's dog, and this is the Comedy Time Capsule, and today's interview is with Jeanette Marin, and today's May 12th. So hello, how are you?
Hi. Honestly, not great.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm okay. I'm here a lot. Yeah.
So remind me, who are you there with?
I am with my husband, Ethan, and luckily my best friend, Heather, is right next door.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and so we share a backyard with a bunch of rats. Like literally there's rats that run around, and we never noticed them until now.
Oh, they waited till quarantine to show themselves. They're like,
yeah,
we live here too.
Yeah, I think they are spreading their dominance. Also, we weren't out there a whole lot. Now we are.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, so you have lots of friends with you.
Lots of friends, yeah. And then I go see my parents 2 or 3 times a week. My mom has some lung issues, so I'm making sure that they don't go out. My dad will still go out, but so that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I find that we've had to tell my parents more than they've had to tell us to stay in. A lot of people have been saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm here with 4 children, as you know, so I'm going stir crazy.
And what are their ages?
11, 9, 6, and 4. We're going to have 3.
Except for the 4-year-old?
The 4-year-old was in preschool, so we're still learning letters and numbers and stuff, but not as mandatory as the other ones. The other 3 have like set schedules where they have to be in class on Zoom, and they have to have assignments turned in, and they have all the, Google Docs, and yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of scheduling. It's a lot of laptops. It's a lot. It's a lot of, have you turned that in yet? What are you doing? Get off YouTube. Why are you on YouTube? You're supposed to be writing your paper.
So that must just be all day long then, huh?
It's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, I take breaks a lot. I have been obsessed with the Monterey Bay Aquarium live streaming. I don't know if
I see you doing that, sharing that.
I'm like sharing it every time they have a cool one. Like the jellyfish, I love them so much. Because just I put it in the background, and it's just like a picture of jellyfish rolling by with some soothing music. And one day my phone just died in the living room because we just left it on all day, like 5-6 hours. The background, and it just helped us get through the day, get through our schoolwork. It's hard to yell at people when there's like a yoga music in the background going on.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a good prompt to not yell, huh?
Yeah. At least when you yell, I mean, I always yell, but after I'm done yelling, it brings us back down.
Okay. It's a reset. It is kind of quick then.
It's like, okay, calm. Okay. That's how I'm surviving the children part.
Yeah. So let's talk about you as a comedian, and can you say a little bit about yourself and any plugs that you'd like to share?
Plugs? There's nothing's going on anymore. What's going on? At some point, I will be going back to gigs that were happening before, and I should be featuring for Augie Smith up in Oregon in the fall. That'll be fun. Follow me, and I'll be there eventually if you're in Oregon. But yeah, go ahead.
Where is that going to be?
Oh goodness, I haven't thought of that since March.
Oh, okay. No, that's okay. It's somewhere
Southern Oregon. Details to follow, as is all gigs nowadays, right?
Exactly. Can you say a little bit about your comedy journey? Because I know yours has already been interrupted, and So you now have this other interruption. So if you kind of give us the whole thing.
So I was going to college doing science-based classes. My major was physiological psych. But I always, every semester, gave myself one fun class. And to me, fun was like a writing class or an acting class. So I had this one teacher who I adored. I don't remember his name, so don't ask me. I'm sorry. And he would mention that my writing, I think we were doing like theater writing or something. And he said that all of your stuff has a great comic relief in it. And I appreciated that. And then the next semester I was taking his acting for stage class, and he challenged us to do 5 minutes of stand-up at the end of the semester. So he said, I'm going to bring in a friend who's going to tell you about comedy, and then you guys are going to write down 5 minutes of comedy. And I didn't know at the time what a bringer show was, but it was a bringer show. They were like, we'll give you tickets, tell your family. So Joni Rogers, a local comedian, came in and told us, tell me about yourself. That's your comedy. That's all you have to do is talk about yourself. So she came in one more time, and we told her our sets at the time, and she set a lineup, and we did 5 minutes of stand-up, and it was like 30 kids. I can't imagine that audience was tortured by the end of the night. But I loved it. I really loved it. And I felt like I was good at the writing part of it. So a month later, that was 2005. A month later, I went to my first open mic, and I was hooked. And my first open mic, actually, the guy who was hosting, I ended up marrying. We went to shows together, we would carpool and stuff, and he and I got married, and then we started having a ton of children, and I stopped doing comedy for like 10 years. We did it for like 3 years back then, in 2005 to 2008, and then we had children and life took over, and I kind of let that be. And then 2015, I was pregnant with my 4th child, and I had a lump in my throat, and it wouldn't go away. And they were like, oh, it's probably just the pregnancy. And it wouldn't go away. And then I had my son, and I said, it's still there. And they were like, oh, okay, well, we'll check. They did an ultrasound. They were like, that's odd. They did a biopsy, and they were like, well, you have a fixable problem, which was actually a really nice way of saying it, because they came back and said you have thyroid cancer. And it was about a year of surgery, radiation, recovery, exhaustion. And at the end of that thought in my head of maybe one day I'll do that kind of became, there is no one day, you should do it. And when you're facing that death and your children are so little, you kind of think, what am I going to be remembered by? If I were to die today, what are they going to say your mom did? And I wanted them to know that I had done this, that I could do this. And part of me, I think, was also wondering, could I do that? It was like a decade ago, was I really as good as I thought I was, So right after the cancer treatment was done and I was cleared, I started going to open mics again. And that was maybe 3 years ago. And I haven't looked back since. I remembered how great it felt to perform. I mean, the first few times back, I cried and it was awful. But once you hit it and you get that stride going and you get a joke to land, it just takes over and you go, oh yeah, I can do that. And so that I came back, and now my kids tell their friends, my mom's a comedian. Like, it's kind of great.
Mm-hmm. What would a typical week look like before all this?
typically I would have at least 1 to 2 booked shows a week. And then I would try to go to at least one open mic before each of those shows to practice whatever set I was going to do for that show. So I would be out at least 4 nights a week because I couldn't do 7. I know a lot of people say you have to do every night, but I haven't, a husband who needed to do things and children. And so 3 to 4 nights a week was usually my typical week. I would maybe go to Santa Cruz on Wednesday to work out some stuff or to practice. Or I would go, hit up something on a Tuesday or something as an open mic. But I would usually focus on those 1 to 2 shows I had a week that were booked. Because I feel like that was like my responsibility to be funny on those shows.
I don't always hear it expressed that way, and that's probably why you're a good comic, is that you express it that way.
I feel like that if somebody, like, I don't ask for a lot of jobs, and I get booked pretty regularly, so I feel like if someone's asking me to be on their show, it's my responsibility to bring a good set and to work on it, to be responsible for that show. When I don't do well at a show, I feel awful. Just like I let them down so badly, It happens.
Yeah, I wish more people felt that way. I like that. Okay. Were you making were you making a living or getting some income from stand-up when all this hit?
I was making some money. I think after a few years, I was really excited because I was starting to cash checks for comedy. What? When you have to fill out the form with your social security number and they send you a check, you're like, I've made it, It's nothing to like live off of. I couldn't pay rent with all that I was making. But I definitely had progressed to the point where it wasn't drink tickets, tip money, hey, I can do it for $20 kind of thing, which I still take all those shows. Like drink ticket, sure. Tips, I'll take it. But when a club or a professional showrunner says, can you do this? I'll send you a check. You just feel like, oh my goodness, it's so amazing, I was definitely starting to break into that a lot more, which I was pretty proud of.
Yeah. And have you been okay, let me ask you this way. It sounded like you would kind of write stuff and then you would practice it at a mic and then you would do a show, kind of like that was your process. Yeah. Have you been able to write with the 4 kids in the school and everything going on in the quarantine?
So for me, writing, I don't sit down and write. Things pop in my head. And I kind of have to like go, oh, that would work. Or I would say it to somebody and test it to, with a friend or something. So I think that writing without a lot of interaction with people is a lot harder for me now. But things have definitely been popping in my head. The beginning of the lockdown, people were asking me to be on their shows, and I turned people down, which I never do. I turned like 3-4 people down because I wasn't ready yet. But once a few things started popping in my head about the lockdown, then I felt more confident to accept the jobs. Plus, I had to figure out the kids part, The whole point of doing comedy was I was getting out of the house. I was getting away from the children. I was, interacting with other adults. And with them here, just, we live in a small apartment. Not only can the audience hear them, but they can hear me. And some of the things I say are about them. And I had to, think about what I'm going to say responsibly in this room with the kids right there, So anyways, that was a tangent. So I did a couple Zoom shows. I was very hesitant at first, but I kind of worked out some premises about the lockdown. And when I was talking about my other material, like before this material, it didn't work. It didn't make sense. You know, the audience was like, okay, that's nice. But the stuff about lockdown, they seem to really enjoy for some reason.
Because a lot of people that I have been talking to are like, well, I don't really want to do quarantine stuff because everyone's doing it. Was it that you offered another perspective other than, oh, hey guys, it's really hard to buy toilet paper?
Well, I think like at first I was trying to morph my jokes, my usual jokes, into like relatable to right now material, and it's not. You know, I can't talk about my kids at school. You know, it has to be about what's going on now, or else the audience is like, well, this is just, you know, practiced material that she's not, you know. I feel like the audience to me has appreciated stuff that they know is new. I mean, always, all audiences are like that, right? You have to think of a way of making your material feel fresh. Like, oh, the other day, you're not going to say last Christmas if it's spring, right? But I don't know. So for your question with writing, so once I started doing the shows and those things started hitting a little bit, then like I started building on those premises and those concepts a little more. And now,
momentum within that.
What? I'm sorry, you broke up.
So you had some momentum within that.
Yeah. And then the concepts became, they had more weight to them. They had, you know, more gravitas in my own mind, and they started rolling in my head a little more. And then I was able to add on to them. And then I just did 2 shows last weekend over Zoom, and they were great. And I feel like I did almost all of my material was about quarantine. But it's about like, you know, like before quarantine, I would say celebrate the little things and, you know, drink or whatever. I still say that now, but I say celebrate the little things. I put on pants today, you know, like, and I'm still working in the old material with the new stuff, but it has to be relevant to now. So I'm just working it out. I'm still hitting those mics like I would before quarantine, and that's how I'm working on writing it. Mm-hmm. It's scarier though, because I feel like before at an open mic in a bar somewhere, you don't expect anybody to be recording it. You don't expect anybody to be like, oh, that joke sucked. Look at this person 5 years later. You know, like, I'm sure nobody's going to care. But now it feels like anyone could be recording it and you have no idea.
The vulnerability is a different thing. And I know I felt that way too. And it's like, and like I have stuff that I really want to talk about. Like, you know, I have family who don't think that this really exists and who, you know, just got a lot of weird ideas. And I really want to talk about that, but I don't feel I can be honest about it because I don't know who's on the other line. And Ian, you know, and you're Italian too, you know, you don't talk about things outside of the family.
Keep it in the family.
Exactly. Which has prevented so many things from happening. And so that to me has been one of the writing blocks, is that.
Yeah, it's hard to be honest about family and your life and everything when you know it's going to be out for anyone to see. Mm-hmm. Anyone can click on it. Back when you're doing open mics, if you record it, you still have possession of that recording.
Yeah. And you saw people like now. Yeah. All you see is a fake name and and a blank screen, and you don't even see the person.
In a bar, if someone's recording, the host is supposed to go up to them and say, hey, no recording this, you know. But they don't even say that before the shows half the time, you know. Mm-hmm. And if they did, it would probably make people go, oh, I should record this. Because nobody can see you. They could be doing anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been doing Toastmasters, and I've been doing that for a couple years now, just to help with my professional speaking stuff. And I feel very fortunate to have that right now.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of, it's not an open mic, but it's something.
Yeah.
So, and I trust those people where I don't trust people at an open mic.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely worry about that, because you never know. Because when you're working something out, it could go terribly wrong.
Yeah, it always does. I mean, and good material oftentimes goes terribly wrong, and then you figure out what to do with that.
Or the same joke that works one day is going to bomb another day, and it just, the wrong recording of it can make you look so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways. So yeah, that's how I'm writing. It's just practicing still.
Now that all makes sense, and I see where it's been translated from the old way to this way. What was, like, talking the old days, what was your favorite part about doing comedy, and what was your least favorite part?
My favorite part is the hangs. I like hanging with the comedians. I mean, I'm supposed to say, oh, the laughter, right? Like, getting that laugh. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty great. I mean, I remember once, the San Jose Improv, my first time doing that stage, it was so big, and I wasn't expecting that big laugh to hit me, and it physically hit me. Like, I felt that energy hit me. That's pretty freaking amazing. But after that great feeling, you get off stage and you go to this group of peers of yours, and they're just so happy for you, and they just are so thrilled that you got that feeling, that, and then you hang for the rest of the night, and you laugh, and it's just good people to be around most of the time. So I just miss that. I miss the after the show hangs.
Mm-hmm. And your least favorite part?
Hecklers.
Really? So you would get a lot of them? Or enough?
For some reason, I mean, not a lot, but I'm not very good at crowd work. We all have our weaknesses and our strengths. I personally think that my strength is in my writing. So I'm very scripted on stage. So when people throw things at me from the audience, it not only like throws me off, but it also kind of makes me mad. And I think that the audience can tell when you're mad. You're supposed to be playful and like give them bad, time, and oh, you heckler. I get angry. and I'll say something that attacks them, and then it usually goes bad. I've had a couple of people just like turn angry, and I've had to like be escorted to my car a couple times because I'm like, oh, I'm not safe here. Oh, that didn't go the way I expected it to be. Like, that's probably the worst part for me.
Yeah, no, and it's that is like I like the heckler piece just because I've been like I have lots of resentments built up that then I can take out on people when they heckle me.
Yeah.
So
that's the thing. I'm like, I'm ready, yeah. But I think that when I'm ready and I attack, they get very upset. And then I don't know how to like switch it. I'm still working on that,
What how do you think gender plays into that?
That's an interesting question. Because I do feel like the times I've been heckled the most was by women.
What? Wait, really?
Yeah. And it's usually a woman with her man there. And I'm like, honey, like, you're fine. Like, I don't know why. But actually, the worst heckler I had was this guy who was talking through everyone's sets, and I kind of gave him grief in the first couple minutes of my set, and it was a 30-minute set. I was headlining at Lily Max, and in the last 5 minutes of my set, his girlfriend showed up. Like, he had called his girlfriend. And I was like, really? Like, why do the women want to fight me? Like, so I don't know if it's like a threatened thing or angry at me thing, but I don't know. I don't know why anyone would want to fight me. I talk solely about my children in my set. And even when the woman showed up, I was like, should I recap? I'm a mother of 4, cancer survivor. Like, what else have I talked about? Like I need to go home to my babies. Yeah, it's the women who want to fight me. I don't know why.
That is so interesting. What do they say? Like, what do they do?
Like this one drunk lady in Santa Cruz was saying something like, I don't remember. I said something and she was like, yeah, you should, or I don't know. I don't remember. And I gave her grief about being plastered because she was plastered. And the whole bar kind of like clapped, which made her feel really upset. The bar was behind me, and they all offered to buy me drinks and stuff, but she was not. And she was like, someone should shoot you. And I was like, oh, I can never return to this bar. It's just, things like that happen, you know?
Yeah, no, and I was just telling the last interviewee that when I was at the Florence, which is in the Fremont area, it was the open mic there. Dude was super drunk, hella drunk, was heckling everybody. I put a chair right in front of the stage because I had the feeling he might lunge at me, so I wanted to put that there. Nice. And in retrospect, my psychologist was like, you really shouldn't put an object that someone can throw at you. I'm like, yeah, but I don't think he had the coordination to do that. But then I have a joke that my mom said that the Italian nose thing about you have a small nose for an Italian. And I said, did you tell my brother he has a big dick for a girl? This guy hears that and thinks that I said he had a small dick and starts like saying stuff under his breath, and I ignored him. I kept on ignoring him, which is like the first thing that you want to do when a heckle happens. Just ignore it, just go through, barrel through. And then he's all, did you hear what she said? She said, I have a small dick. And then and I was like, wow, someone really projected on himself what he wanted to hear. And then he said, I'll kill you. And then everything stopped.
Yeah.
And then I just like meekly went over to the corner. They escorted him out.
Yeah. It's when they take it too far. You know?
Death is too far.
Yeah. Death is too far. I had one heckler. It wasn't death, but one heckler once. I was saying something about they were on a first date, and he didn't like that I was talking to his date about their first date. And I said something like, it was mean. I said like something about like him having a small dick because he was like really insecure. And I said, you know, we'll play with your, what was it? Oh, shit. We'll play with your banana as long as it's not a Chiquita or something like that, you know, something stupid. And he was like, you want to see my dick? And I was like, nobody tonight wants to see your dick. And he he started to pull out his dick. And I was just like, and the host came in and shut it down and took me off stage, and like they escorted him out. And I was just like, just don't take, like, if you can't take it, like, don't take it too far. You know, nobody needs to see your body. Nobody needs a death threat. Like, if you're at a comedy show, know that it's jokes. And if you can't take it, just leave.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. And when you add alcohol to it, sometimes it goes.
Yeah.
Really,
sometimes it's so sweet to us, and then sometimes it turns on us.
Yeah. But I always get really high from the heckler, so I kind of enjoy it. But
I hate it. It ruins my night. I'm like, I had something I was working on, and then this guy just derailed it, you know.
Oh, yeah. No, I get extra buzzed, but I think I probably have some issues around that. So, okay. Okay, I've asked you a lot of this stuff already. How do you think the landscape of comedy is going to change as we get back into stuff?
Ooh. I think laughter is infectious, right? Rooms that are small, intimate, and you're close together with other people, you get those rolling laughs where the entire crowd is just collectively enjoying themselves. And I think that's going to be hard for a while. The rooms are going to have to be the bigger rooms that can spread out, you know, and you're not going to get the same collective laugh that you would get before when you have those tight quarters and everyone next to you is laughing, you know, on your left and your right, and you can feel it and it overcomes you. It's going to feel a lot different. And I don't think we're going to have the crowds that we used to have. People aren't going to trust it, you know. And I wouldn't trust it. I'm not going to go out anytime soon. There's no way, because I have, you know, these kids to think about. And so I think that performance comedy is going to have a slow return, and it's not going to be the same for a while.
Well, and I think the key thing you said there is laughter is infectious. With like the emphasis on the infectious part. Because literally they'll have to accommodate for that.
Yeah.
And the feet and all of that.
You know, a room feels different when it's half full. It laughs different. And a room feels different when they've spread out the tables instead of collectively brought them to the stage. It feels a lot better when they're so close and they can all feel it together, because you feel it next to you. You feel that energy. So it's going to be an adjustment for sure.
Yeah, and you know, I was talking to Chris Storin about how the Zoom shows feel very self-conscious, and I think that's something that you kind of touched on too. And I also, when comedy shows are set up where it's spread out, it feels a little more self-conscious too. So I wonder if like we should be ready for that self-consciousness, and maybe Zoom shows can have a function there because of that.
Yeah. It's the self-consciousness with the Zoom shows. I think it's because they don't have to unmute themselves. They don't have to show their faces. You can't tell if they're laughing or not. You just have to believe in your head that they are, you know? So I think for the comedian, it's going to be great to go out and actually hear laughter and see smiles again. But I won't have that self-consciousness for as deeply for us as it is in the Zoom shows. Because the Zoom shows, it can be really, really difficult when the entire place is just a bunch of black boxes that you're performing to, you know. And I've had audiences on Zoom shows where they'll unblack their box after the show's done to be like, oh, thanks, that was so great. I'm like, why didn't you let us see you before? Like, come on. There was this one, it was like a group of like 5 people from Europe that were all like in the Bay Area for some reason. And it was like, we would have loved to have seen you guys laughing.
Mm-hmm.
They're self-conscious, the audience. They don't want to be made fun of.
Yeah. Well, and like audiences are always a little self-conscious. That's why you dim the lights. That's why you do all those things. That's why you put them
Bring
all
in the alcohol.
Yeah, all of that. And it's hard to do that in your house, you know? It's hard to have that. It's a boundary, I guess. So do you think our sense of humor, and also I think this is a good one for you because you have gone through cancer and you have gone through medical issues. Do you think us as a world, because it's happening all around the world, going through COVID and going through the quarantine, if anything will change in terms of our sensibilities in what we laugh at and humor?
Yeah, it has to. It has to. Any major world event is going to change the way that we question in our mind. Like we were saying, the insecurities of the audience, if they're spread out, then people can see that you're laughing at that. You know, you don't want to ever be the only person in a room laughing at somebody. It makes you self-conscious. So now it adds that layer of, should I be laughing at that? Is that wrong? Does that make me a terrible person? You know, because it is a lot of deaths. It's a lot of trauma. There are people suffering all over the world. And it's a subject that I'm sure, much like other controversial subjects, people are going to play with that line. And it's going to make people question, should I laugh at that? Is it okay? The same way that we question if we should laugh at, you know, terrorism jokes after 9/11 or airplane jokes, you know, things like that. You know, over years, things like, I mean, it's never okay to have pedophilia or rape jokes, like, but I think, you know, that over time it gets worse and worse to do those jokes. And I think because culturally we have changed, and this has culturally changed the entire world. You know, just having our president who is our president is going to culturally change what we can or can't laugh at. Like anything that changes the world is going to change what we should or shouldn't laugh at.
Which direction do you think it'll go toward?
Oh, I think it'll make people less likely to laugh at jokes about people being old and dying. Because I think beforehand, ageism wasn't a hot topic as much as it probably could have been. And now it probably will be, because so many people, due to their age factor, are suffering. I think poverty is going to have a bit, you know, unemployment and welfare jokes. People joke about things like that all the time, but they have to understand that now that is going to affect a vast majority of the population, versus before it was laughing at people that maybe they don't relate to or that they think down upon. It's going to change the way people, well, wait, that's me, so maybe I shouldn't laugh at that. Hopefully it'll make people change their perspective on how they laughed at that before. You know, like, oh, maybe I was being a jerk before for laughing at that. But time will tell.
Yeah.
That would be the hope. But I think with the economy, with the unemployment, with the people dying, it's going to make people think twice about laughing about those things. I hope.
And also, I think if comics can take those specific issues and make them funny and relatable to everybody, that's going to be a whole other thing. Like, if those are the things that are touch points for our culture to have feelings around, those are also the ones that may be the touch points to really get in there and explore them in a way that brings people in instead of, you know, like laughing with instead of at.
Yes. Yeah. That's the responsibility of the comedian, right? You have to joke about the hard things, but do it responsibly so that you're not punching down, you know, you're making punchlines. It's a big difference. And it's hard. It's a hard work. I mean, I do cancer jokes, and I have had people at bars when I'm practicing my jokes and I was writing them out be like, I didn't come here to hear about cancer, you know? And people would tell me, that's hard to joke about, you know? But I stuck to it and I developed it and I got it better. And I think they're pretty good jokes, you know? I've seen them do well.
That's your jokes.
Thank you. But it's a lot of bombing to get there, because it's a hard subject and you have to learn to give the permission to the audience to laugh at it. You know, you have to introduce it in a way that's non-threatening to them. You have to give them permission to laugh at it. And then you have to prove that you are responsible enough to make it funny so that they go along with you. You can't do some hacky joke about grandma dying. They're going to just groan and be like, ugh, why did I listen to this jerk? You have to do something that makes them think, you know, or surprises them. And then they'll laugh because they appreciate that you know, accomplished that. But what the hell do I know? I haven't done that yet.
Well, but I think you've done it around cancer jokes, and I think that's the formula to kind of think through some of the more difficult material that people have.
Yeah, I mean, I've for the longest time I was prefacing my cancer jokes with 3, 4, 5 different things that I would tell them. Don't worry, I'm fine. I'm not going to make fun of cancer. You know, I'm going to make fun of doctors. Not that doctors are bad. You know, like I had to give all these permissions for them to be okay with it. You know, and it was a learning process, because people would tell me, well, you know, you never said you were okay. Maybe the audience is sad for you. Or, you know, you never said that you're not talking about cancer. Maybe just say that so they know you're not making fun of cancer. So you give them permission to laugh at it. You know, it was great advice.
But, you know, also, like, if you have anybody in your life who, like, the people who make fun of cancer the most are people who have fucking cancer.
Yeah. But still, the audience gets tight because they hear that word or they hear a topic they don't want to laugh at. They think, I shouldn't be laughing at that. And they get real tight and they start double guessing, should I be laughing at that? You know, and you have to ease them into it and, like, give them permission.
And also because I perform every once in a while in Berkeley, who are some of my worst audience, because they're afraid to laugh at the disabled person telling jokes because they've been taught not to laugh at the disabled. And
right.
I'm like, it's your ableism is showing even more so right now.
Right? No, the comedian wants to be laughed at no matter what is going on with them.
I can laugh be now, so come on. But yeah, it's that thing where people like it's their ableism or whatever you want to call it regarding cancer is it's preventing them from, like, you sharing your experience, which I totally resent when that happens.
Yeah. Well, I still do it.
Yeah,
I make the room uncomfortable. If those first couple jokes don't hit off those cancer things, I'm like, well, I gotta practice this, so buckle up. Because I don't whip it out just to torture the room. It's because I'm practicing for a show that I need these jokes to be good for, you know? So deal with it. This is what I'm doing today.
Yeah, no, and I think that's how it has to be. And the best cancer stuff I've seen is from Robert Schimmel. I don't know if you've heard his stuff on it.
I know the name, but go ahead. I'm terrible with names.
Bald guy from the 80s. I will
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I saw his documentary, I think.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, there's one thing he does about like going in for treatments. It's beautiful. It just makes me want to cry. It's done so well. And I think, the audience has to allow us to do that, or if they don't allow us, then we just do it. And I think that's what you're talking about. Yeah. It's
so much of comedy is us working out what we're going through. Like that first day when Joni came in and told us, your life is what you talk about on stage. Tell me about you and I'll tell you what your set's about. Yeah. So if that's what I'm going through, that's what I'm going to be talking about, Yeah.
And okay, so we've talked about a lot of things. Is there anything that you wish that I would have asked you, or anything else you wanted to talk about regarding all this?
That's like the worst question. No, you're doing a great job, Nina. This interview was perfect.
It's like you've been trying to butter up your kids do their Zoom meetings all week. That's total mom.
I don't butter them up. I take away the things they already want.
Okay. I really appreciate your time with this. I hope to see you on Zoom or in person elsewhere, but I know that it'll be a while. But I hope to see you somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, that is one thing. One thing I have been doing, which is fantastic, and you should totally join us, is I've been doing a lot of like games online with comedians on these Zooms. Like Pictionary is really easy to do on Zoom. And it's just a lot of comedians just kind of getting together and talking, which is what I miss the most.
Yeah.
And it's really been helping me psychologically to just talk to adults and have that camaraderie and that those peers around me. So I'm surviving off of Zoom Pictionary right now. So and like trivia nights.
And jellyfish, if those are the two things that put you, through the other end of this, then so be it.
Yeah, the jellyfish are saving me for sure. So yeah, join us for one of those. Message me. I'll send you a link. We're doing like trivia nights and game nights.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it sounds like a good thing you can cheat on. So that sounds really fun.
Okay, I don't want you on my team. I don't want to get disqualified because Nina got caught Googling.
No, I'll just say the answer out loud, and then my husband in the next room can Google it and then send it to my phone. I already have a way to do this.
You're already thinking through how you're going to cheat. You're like, that's a good question. And you got an accomplice already? Like, no, you're helping me tonight cheat on trivia.
Yeah. All up here.
Genius. You're a genius.
Very smart. All right, Jeanette, thank you so much, and really do hope to see you soon.
Good to see you.